Thank you, Amit, and welcome everybody. Keynote is a kind of fancy name for what I'm going to be doing. It's really not a keynote, it's more just a welcome. And thank you for coming out on an early Saturday morning. How many people have been at the National Academies before? Great, so a good number. How many have downloaded some of our reports? How many have read the entire report? One, okay, more than 5, that's pretty good, that's not bad. We don't expect people to read the entirety of our reports, but we're very glad when people actually download them. And I'll get into a little bit of that in a minute. But just by a very quick way of background, we are not part of the federal government or any government. We are an independent nonprofit. And that is purposeful and it's crucially important. Because while we do work with and for the federal government and for state governments and local governments, we are independent. And that's crucially important for the work that we do, because the advice has to be independent, it has to be without fear or favor, it has to represent the best scientific thinking from the fields of science, engineering, and medicine that the country can provide, and indeed around the world can provide. We do have a long and storied history, starting with Abraham Lincoln signing our charter in 1863. Here are our current presidents. Those photographs are as of yesterday. We had a former member of one of our boards here who's an amateur and semi-pro photographer, really, take some pictures. But Marcia, John, and Victor are leaders in their respective fields and are leading the academies forward into this century as we rethink how we do what we do and how we can do it better for the society that we serve. And you guys and misinformation in general are crucially important to that, because it is, as we all know, a growing challenge to the body of knowledge that people can rely upon to make decisions. So what do? Well, we give consensus studies. We provide the best current thinking from across the communities that we're representing on what a topic may be that somebody's interested in. We convene people. Yesterday we had about 50 people sitting in another room. Some of you here today were there, talking about misinformation and how the scientific community can tackle the challenges of misinformation. We heard from the Surgeon General of the United States. We heard from people from platform companies, Google, Facebook, Twitter, and others. We heard from scientists who are studying the issue across all different kinds of aspects of it, and they were thinking about what do we need to do to tackle this crucial program. We do have 3 societies, the academies of each of the 3, sciences, engineering, and medicine, which honor career achievements in those fields, and those people volunteer their time here for the studies that we do. And we are engaged with organizations around the world to further the enterprise in these 3 disciplines. Our consensus work, importantly, is probably what we're best known for. Those are the 350-page studies you download from the National Academies Press. They are rigorous. The groups are chosen, they are selected to be experts in their field, they are checked for conflict of interest, they convene, they argue, they discuss, they debate. One of the things that was most impressive to me when I first joined the academies a year ago was watching the consensus study process in action and listening to people go at each other, hammers and tongs, on issues that are crucially important. I remember thinking first, there was one that had to do with oil dispersion technology for oil spills. And these guys, 3 guys, were arguing, and as they have been across their entire careers, and they were arguing for 3 months about what the correct definition of the size of the water droplet should be. All right? And I was sitting there thinking, oh my God. But what they were doing was doing something that was crucial to the fundamental piece of analysis that they were responsible for. Because if you don't have common definition, then you can't have common understanding. And it really brought home for me the importance of that process and why it needs to be dedicated, it needs to be independent, and it needs to be given the time it needs to breathe in order to reach consensus. Our process, we work with sponsors to figure out what we need to do. We select a committee, we check them for conflict of interest, we bring them together, They convene, they talk, they argue, as I just illustrated, and they come to consensus, and they sign off, but not before it goes through final review of a jury of peers. So everything we do is peer reviewed through the consensus process. What do our sponsors say about this? The people who engage with us, the people who give us the money to do this work and expect some independent advice from us on this. I'm not going to read these to you, but you can see they fall into 4 basic categories. The quality of the work, the access to the kind of talent that can bring people together, the integrity of the work, because they recognize the rigor of the process, and importantly, that they feel that engaging with us and working with us makes them better professionals, helps them actually do their jobs day in, day out across the government and all 3 levels. So here's just some of the topics. If you've been on the National Academies Press website, you will have seen this for your own specific area of interest. Well, what brought you there? What were you looking for? But it covers a whole range of content. We're almost ready to publish our 10,000th study on NAP. So it's got stuff from way back to the most contemporary studies available. Some metrics, they're almost 10,000, you see it right there. Now, interestingly, we've got people who are doing Wikipedia edit-a-thon on climate issues on the other side of the building today. And one of the things that we're paying attention to with Wikimedia is the importance of how they can turn to some of the work that we've got embedded in those 9,900 studies to have validated, footnoted, sourced information to use in writing Wikipedia articles. And so that's what they're doing both yesterday and today, because our work is not getting as cited as much as it could on Wikipedia. Importantly, we also ask people when you download, and some of these there may be somebody in this room who's given us one of these quotes, but we ask people, why are you downloading? And we get input from all over the world, some of it very timely to the issue that we're talking about today in terms of misinformation. You can see if it's the gold standard, it's a must-read on bioeconomy. From India, somebody who's trying to advise their Chinese clients on how to best use the face masks that are so currently in short supply. Somebody here in the States talking about teaching a class and footnoting it to this when they get pushback from some of their students or others that they engage with. Some public water supply, or another topic of misinformation, fluoridated water. We've got a study on that. And importantly, it's not just timely work that we have available on the website. It's also things that people find that are unfortunately timeless. And if you think about the respondent from Pakistan at the bottom, and you think about what's going on in Pakistan and India and has been a chronic problem for years, something from 2003 is relevant to this reader. Now, my favorite one is not on here because it wouldn't be inappropriate for me to put it, but over the last few months, somebody said from Canada on the question of climate change, to educate my dumbass dad. That's great. Hopefully that one Canadian man is better educated today than he would have been a few short weeks ago. So with that, I will turn it back to you guys to enjoy the work together that we're going to be doing today, to learn, as we all will be, and enjoy the facility here. And thank you very much for coming out on a Saturday morning.